It can be difficult to identify at first. Perhaps you find yourself trapped in a relationship that, while it may seem perfect at times, leaves you with an inexplicable feeling of emptiness. Over and over again, your intuition tells you that something is not quite right, but you can't pinpoint exactly what it is. This is one of the greatest challenges in any romantic relationship. How to recognize what truly matters, how to identify what should never be tolerated, and how to connect with the truth of your being. Carl Jung, the influential Swiss psychologist, believed that our relationships serve as a mirror, reflecting the hidden aspects of ourselves. If we are unaware of the concealed elements of our psyche, the parts of us that reside in our shadow, then we are at risk of repeating destructive patterns without even realizing it. For Jung, the shadow is not just an abstract concept, it is an integral part of who we are, a part that we often refuse to see, but that is always present, waiting to be acknowledged. This shadow is made up of everything we deny, everything we avoid confronting within ourselves. When we project our shadow onto others, we tend to see in them the things we do not want to recognize in ourselves. And this is what can lead us to tolerate behaviors that should never be tolerated in a romantic relationship. Perhaps you have found yourself accepting abusive, dismissive, or simply negligent behavior, thinking that love must endure everything, or that it is your responsibility to change the other person. Jung would tell us that this is a profound mistake, because when we allow others to treat us this way, what we are really doing is projecting our own shadow. In other words, we are accepting aspects of ourselves that we are unwilling to face. It is essential to recognize that your worth does not depend on what others do or say. If a relationship drains your energy, if it forces you to stop being who you truly are, then it is not a relationship you should tolerate. A true and healthy connection with another human being is based on mutual respect, the acknowledgement of each other's authenticity, and support for one another's growth, not in sacrificing who you are. Think about the moments when you have allowed your energy to be drained. Perhaps it was not something obvious. Maybe it was a small manipulation, a hurtful comment disguised as a joke, or a broken promise. Over time, these small moments accumulate, and what was once a spark of discomfort turns into a wildfire that consumes your inner peace. According to Jung, this is a clear indication that you are not aligned with your true self, your deepest essence. Every time you allow something like this to happen, you take one more step away from your authenticity. In this transformative process, Jung emphasized taking radical responsibility for our role in relationships. This is not about blaming the other person, but about understanding why we choose to tolerate certain behaviors. Jung asserted that the key to personal growth lies in facing our shadows, those aspects of ourselves that we fear recognizing. When we integrate our shadows, we stop projecting them onto others and begin to make wiser decisions that align with our inner truth. So, what should you never tolerate in a romantic relationship? Anything that makes you feel like you are not enough as you are. Anything that puts your inner peace in constant jeopardy. Anything that makes you forget who you are and what you are worth. Healthy relationships are not built on continuous sacrifice or on making you feel that you must change yourself to fit in. In a truly fulfilling relationship, both individuals have the space to be who they are, to grow without losing themselves in the process. It is easy to fall into the trap of thinking that love must be unconditional, that we must tolerate everything, that it is our responsibility to change others to make a relationship work. But Jung taught us that this is not just a mistake. It is a form of denial of our own authenticity. Romantic relationships should be a dance between two complete human beings, not a battle to save what was never meant to be saved. There is something incredibly powerful that happens when you allow yourself to say no to what is hurting you, even when it feels difficult. It is an act of self-love. It is a reminder that your well-being is the most important thing, and that you should never tolerate a relationship that makes you feel like you are less than you truly are. When you allow a relationship to consume you, to make you feel unworthy or undeserving of love, you are unknowingly validating the projection of your own shadow onto the other person. And what you fail to realize is that this projection is a wound that only you can heal. Carl Jung believed that the unconscious mind holds immense power over our thoughts, behaviors, and most significantly, our relationships. Without even realizing it, we often find ourselves caught in repetitive cycles, patterns that echo past experiences, particularly those rooted in unresolved trauma. These internal wounds, left unhealed, quietly steer our choices, leading us to form connections with people who may harm us emotionally, psychologically, or even physically. And we may not understand why it keeps happening, why, despite our desire for love and harmony, we end up in relationships that bring us pain. So how do you recognize that this invisible influence is at play? The answer is in the repetition. When you find yourself living through the same emotional suffering again and again, despite the faces being different, the underlying story feels painfully familiar. It's like déjà vu, but it's not just a trick of memory. It's a signal, a clear message from your inner self telling you that something within needs to be acknowledged, healed, and transformed. This is why the first step toward building healthier, more fulfilling relationships isn't about fixing the other person. It's not about making your partner change or hoping they'll suddenly treat you better. The journey starts within. You must begin by turning inward, by looking at yourself with honesty and compassion. Jung taught that true transformation begins when we are willing to face our own inner darkness, not to fight it or deny it, but to understand it. And no, it's not easy. In fact, it's one of the most challenging things you'll ever do. It's far more comfortable to look the other way, to avoid the mirror, to keep moving through life without asking too many questions, without digging into the layers of pain and memory that live inside you. But it is this very self-awareness, this deep, often uncomfortable confrontation with yourself, that becomes your most powerful tool for growth. It's what helps you recognize what you should never tolerate again, because the way others treat you is often a reflection of how you treat yourself. If you constantly allow someone to disrespect your boundaries, if you accept neglect, cruelty, or emotional manipulation as part of love, your unconscious mind starts to believe a dangerous lie. I am not worthy of love. I do not deserve respect. And this belief, though silent, begins to shape your reality. At first, these transgressions may seem small, almost insignificant. A hurtful comment, a cold glance, a dismissive gesture. You tell yourself it's not a big deal. You rationalize it. But over time, these seemingly minor moments accumulate. And what they erode is not just the relationship, but your self-esteem, your confidence, your ability to trust yourself and make healthy decisions. That's why it's crucial to understand this. Your worth does not depend on how someone else treats you. Your value is not negotiable. It is not something another person can take away, diminish, or validate. It is intrinsic. It is yours. And no relationship, no matter how intense or familiar, should ever make you feel like you're less than enough. Jung reminds us that the people we are drawn to, the relationships we engage in, are often mirrors. They reflect not only the state of our inner world, but also the lessons we still need to learn. If you find yourself repeatedly involved in relationships marked by conflict, emotional coldness, or manipulation, it's not just bad luck. It's a message, a lesson trying to break through the noise. Something inside you needs your attention. This is the time to ask difficult questions, to confront the choices you've made and examine the roots of your patterns. Why do you allow behaviors that hurt you? Why do you stay when everything in you screams to leave? Why do you give love to those who don't reciprocate or respect it? The answers to these questions are rarely simple, but they are always revealing. Often, the truth lies buried beneath years of fear of abandonment, fear of rejection, fear of not being enough. Or it hides behind limiting beliefs that were handed to you in childhood, shaped by the people who raised you, or by early experiences that told you love had to be earned through suffering. But here's the truth. Healing begins when you learn to say no to what hurts you. When you draw the line, not in anger, but in love for yourself. When you choose not to settle, not to shrink, not to sacrifice your peace for the sake of temporary company. That decision, to honor your boundaries and walk away from anything that doesn't serve your well-being, is an act of immense courage. It means you are ready to be alone, if necessary, rather than remain in situations that deplete you. It means you understand that solitude is far less painful than a connection that drains your soul. It means you're choosing yourself. This is how self-respect is built, not in theory, but in practice. And every time you say no to pain, you're also saying yes to something greater. You're saying yes to love that nurtures, to relationships rooted in truth, not fear, to the possibility of connection that uplifts rather than diminishes. And when you operate from this space, when you truly believe in your worth and live by it, you begin to attract differently. You stop repeating the same cycles because you've changed the script. You no longer feel drawn to people who mirror your wounds. Instead, you resonate with those who reflect your healing. That is the essence of Jung's wisdom, that the outer world shifts only when the inner world transforms. And while the process is never easy, it is always worth it, because on the other side of that transformation lies a version of you that is whole, empowered, and finally free. And that version of you will no longer confuse pain with love. It will no longer chase what wounds. It will no longer settle for less. Instead, it will choose peace. It will choose truth. And above all, it will choose love. The real kind. The kind that begins within. According to Carl Jung, love should never require you to lose your essence. In a healthy relationship, love is nourished by mutual respect, genuine acceptance, and shared growth. There is no need for you to sacrifice who you are or to disappear within yourself just to make someone else feel comfortable or satisfied. Real love doesn't demand self-abandonment. On the contrary, it invites authenticity. As you begin the journey of self-discovery and liberation, you'll notice how the nature of your relationships starts to shift. People who truly respect your boundaries, your energy, and your essence will begin to gravitate toward you naturally. Meanwhile, those who are not aligned with your true self, those who can't meet you at your level of awareness, will begin to fade from your life without you needing to push them away. This is the power of synchronicity, one of Jung's most profound concepts. Synchronicity is not just a philosophical idea. It's a reality that unfolds when you align with your authentic self. It's what happens when you stop chasing outside validation and begin to recognize that everything you need is already within you. There's something incredibly liberating about no longer needing to be someone you're not, simply to be accepted or loved. The journey of healing and self-liberation is not something that occurs overnight. It's a slow, often uncomfortable process that requires patience, gentleness, and above all, deep self-love. But as you begin to make decisions that are truly aligned with your inner truth, you will start to feel more empowered, more grounded, and more capable of cultivating relationships that truly nurture your soul. You'll begin to recognize red flags long before a connection becomes emotionally draining. You'll develop a heightened awareness of what you truly need in order to feel fulfilled. And you'll stop ignoring those subtle inner cues, the gut feelings, the quiet warnings from within that have always been trying to guide you. Jung taught us that we must not only listen to others, but also to ourselves, to that inner voice we so often silence out of fear or the desire to maintain peace. Ignoring this voice can lead to repeated patterns of pain and emotional entrapment. It is essential that you pay attention when something feels off, when a relationship starts asking more from you than you're able or willing to give, without offering you the same in return. A loving relationship is not supposed to be a battlefield. True love is not a constant struggle. If you constantly feel like you're walking on eggshells, if the connection feels like unstable ground, chances are you're tolerating something you shouldn't be. Jung believed we should seek out relationships that encourage us to grow, that challenge us to become the best version of ourselves, but not at the cost of our essence. If you ever feel like your soul is being suffocated, that your spirit is shrinking around someone else, it's a clear signal that something vital is being ignored. The key to recognizing when a relationship has become intolerable lies in our ability to see ourselves with brutal honesty. It's very easy to justify things when we're emotionally invested in someone. We tell ourselves that things will get better, that the other person will change, that we just need to hold on a little longer. But these rationalizations are often subtle ways of avoiding the truth. A relationship that consistently makes you feel like you're not enough, or worse, that demands you abandon yourself to maintain peace, is not worth your time or your energy. Jung also emphasized the importance of individuation, the lifelong process of becoming our most authentic selves. This means being loyal to who we are at our core, not who others want or expect us to be. It's absolutely vital not to sacrifice your authenticity out of fear. Fear of loneliness, fear of rejection, fear of stepping into the unknown. Walking away from what no longer serves you is an act of bravery. It's a declaration of self-worth. Becoming who you truly are requires courage. Relationships should be sacred spaces where both individuals feel safe, seen, supported, and deeply respected for who they truly are. If you find that you constantly have to edit or shrink yourself just to be accepted, if you feel like you can't express your truth or be genuine, then something is fundamentally wrong. This isn't about perfection. It's about mutual acceptance and unconditional love. And when that's missing, when a relationship makes you feel like you need to hide parts of yourself in order to be loved, it's likely that something toxic is slowly taking root. A loving relationship should be a safe place, not a stage for performance. If you're constantly having to suppress your emotions, hide your dreams, or silence your desires just to maintain the connection, then that connection is not fostering mutual understanding or respect. Jung reminds us that the most important relationship we will ever have is the one we have with ourselves. If we don't respect ourselves, if we don't give ourselves permission to be who we truly are, it becomes almost impossible for anyone else to do so. It's time to start recognizing when a relationship begins to affect you in a deeply negative way. This doesn't mean that relationships should be conflict-free. Every relationship has its challenges, but if those challenges become a never-ending cycle of pain, if conflict becomes the default dynamic, if resolution feels like a distant dream, then you must begin to question the very foundation of that relationship. Letting go of something or someone that doesn't align with your truth doesn't mean you've failed. It means you've grown. It means you've chosen yourself. And that's one of the most powerful things you can ever do. Because the moment you return to your essence, the universe responds, not with chaos, but with clarity, not with loss, but with alignment. The people who are meant for you will feel like peace, not pressure. They will honor your boundaries, not challenge them. They will embrace your light, not ask you to dim it. This is what happens when you choose yourself. Everything around you begins to mirror that choice. Jung urged us to confront our shadows, not only within ourselves, but also in others. If you find yourself in a relationship that constantly makes you feel bad, that is not just a coincidence or a stroke of bad luck. It is an invitation from your unconscious mind, a wake-up call asking you to look beyond appearances and see the deeper truth of what is happening. Sometimes toxicity does not reveal itself in obvious ways. It does not always come in the form of direct insults, blatant manipulation, or unmistakable acts of betrayal. It can begin subtly, disguised as small manipulations, passive-aggressive remarks hidden beneath the mask of humor, or attitudes that seem insignificant at first glance. However, these seemingly minor things have a profound impact. Every time you accept something that does not feel right, no matter how small it may seem, you are giving permission, whether consciously or unconsciously, to be treated in that way. Jung encourages us to take control of our relationships, to stop being passive victims of circumstances, and to start making conscious choices. We hold the power to change the course of our lives by deciding what we will and will not tolerate. True emotional freedom is achieved when you allow yourself to say no. No to manipulation. No to disrespect. No to expectations that drain your energy and deplete your spirit. Freedom is not about changing others. It is about changing the way we relate to them. When you learn to set clear boundaries, when you grant yourself the permission to walk away from what does not nourish your soul, you will begin to feel a deep sense of liberation. This is the true healing that Jung spoke of. Taking control of our psyche, letting go of what limits us, and making space for what allows us to flourish. This is not about being selfish. It is about being true to yourself. By respecting yourself and refusing to let others harm you, you send a clear message to the universe. You are ready to heal, to grow, and to live in alignment with your true essence. Only when you act from a place of authenticity do you begin to attract what you truly deserve. The right people, those who align with your energy and respect your boundaries, will start to enter your life naturally. By releasing what no longer serves you, you make space for what truly complements you, supports you, and allows you to grow. At first, it may not be easy to identify what you need to let go of. You may find yourself entangled in a dynamic where love has become synonymous with tolerance, tolerating behaviors that drain you, diminishing your own worth in the process. But it is precisely in those painful moments that clarity emerges. When the pain becomes unbearable, when you feel emotionally exhausted, that is when the truth reveals itself. You must let go in order to find peace. Jung spoke of the importance of understanding our own wounds and recognizing how they shape our relationships. When we fail to heal these wounds, we inevitably attract situations that mirror our unresolved fears and desires. Have you ever felt like you are living for others? That your worth depends on what others think of you or what they do for you? This kind of relationship is unsustainable because it is not built on true connection. It is based on emotional dependency. Jung reminds us that true emotional freedom can only be found when we break free from this dependency and start living from our own essence. Only when you love yourself, when you respect yourself, and when you refuse to let others define your worth, can you establish relationships that are founded on reciprocity, respect, and authenticity. Relationships are not about finding someone to complete you. They are about finding someone with whom you can share your life, someone who respects your individuality, honors your dreams, and supports your personal growth. If you constantly find yourself compromising in relationships, sacrificing who you are just to please another, you are drifting further away from your true self. As Jung would say, it is only through the integration of the shadow, by accepting and acknowledging the parts of yourself that you fear, that you can become fully yourself in a relationship. This is where true connection is found, when you can be authentic without fear of judgment or rejection. When you ignore the boundaries of what you can tolerate, the damage you allow is silent but profound. The small acts of manipulation, the broken promises, the lack of empathy and respect, all of these accumulate over time, slowly wearing down your spirit until one day you wake up feeling emotionally exhausted, wondering how you ended up in this place. But you are not powerless. You have the ability to change the narrative. You have the strength to redefine your relationships, to reclaim your power, and to choose a path of self-respect and authenticity. Healing begins with awareness. It starts the moment you recognize that you deserve more, that you deserve to be surrounded by people who uplift you rather than deplete you. The journey to self-discovery is not always easy, but it is necessary. It is in this journey that you learn to set boundaries, to walk away from toxicity, and to embrace a life where you are truly free to be yourself. Carl Jung teaches us that emotional well-being is deeply intertwined with our ability to recognize, establish, and protect our personal boundaries. It is not about becoming rigid, inflexible, or shutting people out of our lives. Rather, it is about being fully aware of what we need to preserve our mental and emotional health. Boundaries serve as a form of self-respect, a way of telling ourselves and others what we are willing to accept and what we are not. When we fail to uphold these boundaries, we risk becoming drained, lost, and disconnected from our true selves. A relationship that constantly demands everything from you while offering nothing in return, that exhausts you rather than replenishes you, is not love. It is a distraction from your true purpose in life. It is a cycle of emotional depletion that prevents you from fulfilling your potential. Jung emphasized the importance of recognizing recurring patterns in our relationships, particularly those that seem to trap us in cycles of pain and dissatisfaction. If you repeatedly find yourself drawn to relationships that leave you feeling unworthy, insufficient, or criticized, it may not be a coincidence. Instead, it could be the result of unresolved experiences from your past. These patterns are not accidental. According to Jung, they serve as opportunities for self-exploration and growth. They are invitations to examine the unhealed wounds within us and to finally address the aspects of ourselves that we have long ignored or suppressed. When you notice that the same issues keep arising in your relationships, it is crucial to pause and ask yourself, why am I drawn to these dynamics? What part of me still needs healing? What lessons am I avoiding? The moment you begin to heal your own wounds, the moment you stop blaming yourself for things beyond your control, and the moment you learn to set healthy boundaries, you create space for genuine, fulfilling connections. A true relationship, one rooted in mutual respect and understanding, does not require you to sacrifice who you are. Love should never feel like a battlefield. It should be a sanctuary, a space where two people uplift and support each other while remaining authentic to themselves. In this transformative process, self-love plays an indispensable role. Only when you learn to love and respect yourself can you attract and build a relationship that truly values who you are. A love that asks you to change, to shrink yourself, or to abandon your dreams is not love. It is control disguised as affection. Your journey is not about pleasing others at the cost of your own happiness, but about creating a life that aligns with your true essence. Life is not just about what happens to you. It is about how you choose to respond to what happens. Each relationship, each challenge, and each moment of discomfort offers an opportunity to learn more about yourself, to peel back the layers of your being, and to evolve into the person you are meant to become. When you let go of what no longer serves you, whether it be toxic relationships, harmful beliefs, or self-destructive habits, you reclaim your power. You create space for things that nurture you, that inspire you, and that help you grow into the best version of yourself. This journey of self-awareness and healing is not always easy. There will be times when you feel the temptation to revert to old patterns, to return to familiar yet unhealthy dynamics simply because they feel comfortable. But true transformation occurs when you choose to apply the lessons you have learned rather than repeating the cycles that no longer serve you. Growth requires courage. It demands that you break free from the illusion of security and step into the unknown. Sometimes, the path to becoming the best version of yourself requires making difficult decisions, letting go of people, habits, or circumstances that no longer align with your higher self. It is not about shutting doors, but about opening new ones. When you finally decide to stop tolerating what harms you, you are not limiting yourself. You are expanding your possibilities. You are stepping into a world where your energy is protected, your worth is acknowledged, and your life is filled with relationships and experiences that elevate you rather than diminish you. Life becomes clearer and lighter when you release what no longer serves you. Jung believed that the unconscious mind constantly guides us toward our true purpose, whispering hints and nudging us in the direction of our growth. Each time you make a decision that aligns with your authentic self, the universe responds. The pieces of your life start falling into place in a way that feels more natural, harmonious, and fulfilling. This is the beauty of healing, of choosing yourself, of stepping into your power. The more you embrace who you truly are, the more life aligns in your favor. The more you learn to set boundaries, to love yourself fully, and to walk away from what drains you, the closer you come to a life of true peace, fulfillment, and purpose. This is the moment to pause and reflect. Take a deep breath, clear your mind, and allow yourself the space to truly evaluate your relationships, both past and present. Think about the people who have been part of your journey. Have they helped you grow? Have they supported you in becoming the best version of yourself? If the answer is no, then it is time to look inward and understand why you continue to allow these dynamics in your life. When you become fully aware of what you truly deserve, when you genuinely grasp the fact that you do not have to tolerate what harms you, you will start attracting relationships that align with your authentic self. You will begin to draw people who uplift you, who inspire you, and who contribute to your happiness. It is crucial to understand that what you permit in your life is a direct reflection of how much you value yourself. Every relationship, every interaction, and every connection you maintain is an opportunity to strengthen your self-awareness and authenticity. By making the conscious decision not to tolerate what diminishes your well-being, you are not only protecting yourself, but also paving the way for a life filled with healthier, more enriching relationships that align with who you truly are. As you progress through this journey, you will realize that true love is not about making sacrifices or changing yourself to please others. Real love is built on mutual acceptance and respect. When you choose to free yourself from what drains your energy, you reconnect with an inner strength that enables you to attract people who genuinely resonate with your energy. And when this happens, inner peace becomes your guide, allowing you to build relationships that foster growth and support your journey toward becoming the best version of yourself. Now more than ever, it is essential to take the time for deep introspection. Ask yourself important questions. What relationships are you allowing to impact your life? What behaviors are you tolerating that are preventing you from moving forward? Are you surrounding yourself with people who support your personal growth? Or are you still allowing toxic dynamics to hold you back? Never forget that self-love and self-respect must be your top priorities. Only when you truly love yourself can you love others in a healthy way without losing yourself in the process. This is not about selfishness. It is about being aware of your emotional needs and understanding what you truly require to be at peace. It takes courage to look within, to acknowledge what needs healing, and to make the necessary decisions that bring you closer to the life you deserve. If this message resonates with you, and you believe it could help someone else, I invite you to share it. There may be someone in your life who needs to hear these words, someone who feels trapped in relationships that do not serve them. By sharing this video, you are not only helping that person, but you are also contributing to a community that seeks growth and authenticity. Furthermore, if you feel inspired by this message, I encourage you to leave a comment below. Tell me which part of this content impacted you the most, or how you are applying these principles in your own life. Your experience could be the inspiration someone else needs to make a significant change. And if you have not yet subscribed, I invite you to do so and activate the notification bell so that you do not miss more messages that can help transform your life. Every time you engage with this content, whether by commenting, sharing, or subscribing, you are helping this message reach more people who need to hear it. Remember, the path to an authentic life, free from toxic relationships, begins with the decision to set clear boundaries and take control of your well-being. You do not have to walk this path alone. There is a community here, ready to support you every step of the way. Together, we can create an environment where love, respect, and self-awareness are the foundations of all our relationships. Do not hesitate to join us and continue growing with us.